Crocodilians have barely changed in 95 million years. They survived whatever killed the dinosaurs. They can go up to a year without eating. And in the water, they're close to invincible, armored, patient, and nearly silent until it's too late. So today, we're not asking who's dangerous enough to fight a crocodilian. We're asking something narrower. Which animals actually choose to do it, on purpose, more than once? We're ranking the 6 animals that hunt crocodilians, ordered from does it by accident to does it for a living. And after every entry, we're going to ask the same question, worth the bite? Because beating a crocodilian and surviving the decision to try are 2 very different scorecards. We're starting in the water because that's the only place crocodilians are supposed to have home field advantage. Number 6. Bull sharks push into rivers and estuaries more than almost any other shark, and for a while, scientists assumed they only did it to raise their young somewhere safer. We now think that's incomplete. They eat in fresh and brackish water too, which is part of what fueled the real attacks behind the Jaws legend. So the overlap with crocodilians is real, even if we don't have a stack of footage to prove it. Bull sharks are brutally hard to track in murky rivers, and much of what we know about this rivalry comes from inference, not observation. I'll be upfront, this is one of the shakier entries on the list, evidence-wise, and I think that's worth admitting rather than dressing up as certainty. In Florida, bull sharks and alligators settle this the only fair way nature allows. Size decides everything. Big sharks eat small gators. Big gators eat small sharks. Nobody wins permanently. Travel to Australia, though, and the math flips hard. Saltwater crocodiles are heavier, stronger, and meaner than anything in the Americas, and salt sharks that wander too close to a saltie's territory tend to become a snack, not a predator. Now, the internet loves to ask about great whites. Here's the corrective beat. There is no recorded case anywhere of a great white shark attacking a crocodile, not one. They simply don't share water. Great whites prefer it cold, salties prefer it warm. If they ever did cross paths, the great white would likely win easily. But would win and has happened are different claims, and a lot of viral posts blur that line. Tiger sharks, on the other hand, have been seen going after American crocodiles along the coastlines of the Americas, though that's less a crocodile-specific strategy and more a tiger shark doing what tiger sharks always do, which is bite first and figure out what it was later. Worth the bite? Barely. Sharks has the teeth for it, but they almost never seek it out. This is a rivalry of convenience, not appetite. Number 5. Nobody hunts a healthy adult elephant. Once they're grown, the only predator they have is us, but calves are a different story, and that's the gap crocodilians exploit. When young elephants drink at a river's edge, Nile crocodiles will sometimes lock onto a trunk, and it usually goes badly for the crocodile. Elephants live in tight, cooperative herds, and an attack on one calf brings the rest of the group in fast. A crocodile that grabbed the wrong trunk can end up trampled, gored, or both.
Here's the part I didn't expect when researching this. The most dangerous elephant to a crocodile isn't a protective mother, it's a bull elephant in musth, a hormonal state that makes adult males aggressive toward almost anything nearby. Between 1991 and 2001, young musth bulls in one region killed 63 rhinos, most of them white rhinos, reportedly because there was no older dominant male around to keep their aggression in check. I'll flag that figure as one I'd want corroborated before treating it as gospel. It's widely cited, but I couldn't independently triple confirm the original source. Crocodiles caught in the blast radius of an angry musth bull don't fare much better than those rhinos did. Worth the bite? No, and elephants seem to know it. This isn't a hunting strategy, it's a self-defense reflex that happens to be lethal. Number 4. Lions are the only big cat that hunts in true social groups, which is exactly what lets them take on prey that would crush a solo cat. In the water, a lion versus crocodile is a loss every time. On land, the odds flip. Most lion versus croc encounters involve picking off smaller individuals that wandered too far from the riverbank, but Matusi National Park is the exception. Lions there target adult crocodiles deliberately, more often than almost any other lion population on the continent. usually ambushing them away from water during nesting season or while they're feeding on a carcass. It's a coordinated effort: distract, surround, immobilize, and it's still dangerous every single time because a crocodile's jaws don't care how outnumbered it is. Asia has its own version of this. The Asiatic lions of the Gir forest will target mugger crocodiles during the dry season, when shrinking water sources strand crocs in the open and force them to relocate. Worth the bite? Sometimes, but only when the lions have already stacked the odds through numbers and timing. It's calculated, not casual. Quick myth check before we go further, because this one comes up constantly. Number 3. Hippos cannot bite a crocodile in half. It's a popular claim online, and it's simply not true. What is true is almost as impressive. Hippos have one of the strongest bite forces of any land mammal, despite eating almost nothing but plants. Hippos and Nile crocodiles are stuck sharing the same rivers, and the relationship is openly hostile. Hippos sabotage croc hunts on purpose, rescue prey that's being attacked, and get into territorial disputes over basking spots. None of this is really about food. Hippos are mostly herbivores, aside from the occasional scavenged carcass. It's about control of shared space. Crocodiles, for all their patience underwater, aren't known for impulse control on land. If one bites a young hippo, the rest of the pod tends to respond immediately, and the result is usually a trampled or seriously injured crocodile. Worth the bite? From the hippo's side, absolutely. They're not even hunting, just refusing to be intimidated, and crocodiles consistently lose that argument.
Number 2. Tigers will challenge almost anything, including prey several times their size. Indian bison weighing over 1.5 tons, leopards, and, in rare cases, crocodilians. The gharial is one case, though it's a strange one to even include. There are only an estimated 650 to 1,000 left in the wild across just 2% of their historic range, so encounters with tigers are vanishingly rare almost by default. Still, in 2022, one tiger killed 3 gharials in Chitwan National Park in a single documented stretch. Mugger crocodiles are the more frequent target. Large, ill-tempered, and responsible for roughly 50 human deaths on their own. One tiger in particular made a career out of hunting them, a tigress named Arrowhead who ruled Ranthambore National Park for 11 years. Even in her final months, visibly thin and ill, she could still ambush a resting mugger crocodile by clamping onto the base of its skull, a grip that kept the crocodile's jaws useless. Her grandfather is said to have taken down a 14-foot mugger crocodile, though that particular claim is more legend than verified record, so take it as oral history rather than confirmed fact. Worth the bite? For most tigers, no. Too risky for too little payoff. For specialists like Arrowhead, clearly yes. That split is exactly why this entry sits at number 2. Number 1. Jaguars don't make this list for hunting the biggest crocodilian or the most dangerous one. They make it for doing this constantly, as a matter of routine. In most of South America, jaguars don't have much access to true crocodiles, so instead they specialize in caimans. The black caiman, the largest of the family, can reach 20 feet, and even jaguars generally avoid the largest individuals. But generally avoid still leaves a lot of room, and in the Pantanal wetlands, caiman can make up to 20 to 50% of a jaguar's entire diet, depending on the season, a staggering number for an animal that isn't even semi-aquatic. The mechanism is brutal and specific. Jaguars have unusually wide, muscular skulls built around an extreme bite force, strong enough to crush a caiman's skull outright rather than wrestle it into submission.
One jaguar, nicknamed Mick, became locally famous less for the size of caiman he targeted and more for how often he came back scarred. He's missing an eye, and his body tells the story of a cat that treats caiman hunting as a routine business rather than a desperate gamble. One of the largest confirmed caiman kills on record measured close to 12.5 feet. I'll throw in a quick aside here. It's tempting to assume a lion or tiger dropped into the Pantanal would simply out-hunt the jaguar at this, but both are bulkier, less aquatic, and clumsier in water. The jaguar's advantage isn't raw power, it's that it's actually built for this specific fight. Worth the bite? For a jaguar, yes, every time. This isn't an occasional gamble, it's a primary food source. That's exactly why it claims #1. So that's 6 animals willing to challenge one of the most successful survivors in evolutionary history, some by accident, some out of territorial spite, and at least one as a full-time career. If you think a different animal deserves a spot on this list, or you think I got this ranking wrong, tell me in the comments.